Welcome to 108 Gate, where we're looking at the current energies of today. Or when you come to this reading, ooh, it's like a big boom. Laying it down, okay. Confidence, resignation. So be what you want to see. Excuse me. Say goodbye to what you no longer need. There is surge of energy coming up, a surge of for the confidence to come up, you have to, the energy is for the confidence to come up, you have to let go of those times or those ways that you are feeling meek or small or weak, lonely, cold, isolated, pushed aside, ignored, belittled, all those low vibe, negative things that are not beneficial, that have kept you stuck, kept you held still, kept you frozen in fear of being noticed by people, fear of being noticed by yourself, because there's an aspect of okay, so letting that go, that's the resignation part. So there's an aspect of, if you allow yourself to see where you have been allowed to be being pushed to be smaller, pushed to be isolated, pushed to feel less than your higher potential, less than what you want for yourself, there's a certain sadness coming up that's kind of I want to say overbearing, unbearable, but it's like a cascading overwhelm, a waves and waves of grief of what you feel like you may have done to yourself. So not only has some part of the work been about where you've allowed others to do certain things to you, allowed others to treat you in a particular way or a certain way, or speak to you in a certain way. In yesterday's reading, you want to check out yesterday's daily reading, there was a vibe of where we need to start really focusing on true, genuine, sincere love. And how does that feel in comparison to the fake expressions of love, the ingenuous expressions of love, and allowing yourself to be open to really, really be brave and courageous to receive true love, because it takes a certain level of vulnerability to be able to do that. So that's one part of it. Now it's coming up to the energies, and I'm sorry that it sounds really stagnated and robotic almost. It's because that's the energy of it. If we become deluded or in denial of how we've allowed other people to be towards ourselves, not only that, is therefore how much have we been in denial of what we've done to ourselves, how we've treated ourselves. On some level, there's energy of that being unforgivable. So going in, and it's not because we aren't able to forgive, it seems to be that we're able to forgive others easier and sooner than we're able to forgive ourselves. So really going into that energy of being open and receptive to forgiving yourself for some of the things you put yourself through, forgiving yourself for allowing certain people to push you through certain situations, allowing yourself to be tricked or fooled into certain situations, certain circumstances, certain perceptions of self. It happened. There's so many reasons why those things happened. There's so many reasons why at the time it was possibly necessary as a defense mechanism, as a way of dealing with certain things. So it's not that we can't forgive ourselves and that we shouldn't forgive ourselves. It's that we need to find the ability to forgive ourselves. To forgive self, what does that look like? What does that feel like? That again is coming round to what was coming up yesterday. Is what does true love feel like? What does being truly, deeply respected and loved look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? Yes, it's a bit scary on some level and vulnerable, but when you let that true love in, you let that true love flow over you, what does that enable you to do? What does that provide you with? What is the power and confidence that comes from that? And then we've got insight. The answers are there for those who look. Do you want to be brought to a different version of yourself? Do you want to be illuminated and see where you can thrive even deeper, thrive wider, thrive stronger? We're going for a masculine energy over here, therefore that's going straight in for there's stuff we have to let go of to be able to let other stuff come in. We have to be truthful with ourselves, and on some level we're going to have to be truthful with others too, because if we hide behind silence because we don't want conflict, there may be a time that we need to actually say something. So right now we have 3 of Wands. The other day there was a 5 of Wands that came up, and I saw it as 3 of Wands, and I kept saying 3 of Wands, 3 of Wands, but it was a 5 of Wands. So at one point we had a 5 of Wands and 5 of Wands. Now it genuinely is a 3 of Wands. Why I kept saying 3 of Wands? It was the way it was. It looked like a 3 of Wands. It felt like a 3 of Wands. Coming out of the conflict, don't want to stay in the conflict. Look to the 3 of Wands. Look to the future. Look to the new horizons. Look to gliding into new comfort zones, better comfort zones, higher quality, higher standard comfort zone. And now I can see why I kept seeing the 3 when it was a 5. Sometimes we have to just tell ourselves, I can keep going, I can keep going, I can do this, I can do that. So those things that we've stuck in, it doesn't hurt to now acknowledge them, acknowledge the truth of them, so that we are feeling the safer space we are in. We are acknowledging the safer space we are in, to have that time, courage and strength to acknowledge what was difficult in the past, to acknowledge. Now, it being safer to acknowledge certain things or provide yourself with that safety to acknowledge certain things, to realise the truth of certain people, of certain situations, of the past, of who you were, then you may see yourself in a more forgiving light. You may see yourself with a more forgiving heart. Being able to understand that you were in a certain predicament, you had no choice but to do A or B. To get through B, you had to go to a certain strategy, you had to go to a certain defense mechanism, you had to go to a certain survival instinct. I'm actually looking at, like, for my next level of my course, further studies, I am looking at defense mechanisms again and going deeper into that. So that'll be interesting to see what comes up and what can be utilized here, because when we're having these defense mechanisms, there are so many different ways we defend ourselves psychologically, energetically, because we have to, like, there isn't just a one size fits all. There's different people coming at us, there's different people that we need to protect ourselves from, there's different situations, different scenarios, there's all these different components come together. That means we need and we have different ways of defending self, we have different ways of interacting with others, because that situation calls for certain things. For example, you wouldn't use a toothbrush to paint a wall. You need the appropriate tools, you need the appropriate skills to deal with certain situations that may bring up the different defence mechanisms, to make sure we're appropriately looking after ourselves and supporting self. So 2 cards have just dropped out. Interestingly, we've got another 2 of Swords. This is happening a lot at the moment. So I am beginning to feel more and more so that there's some things that are balancing out in our feminine energy and our masculine energy, that if we're having both cards on both sides coming in, it's coming together, it's harmonizing, it's being resolved, it's being healed. And another thing that's coming up around that is when we are healing and we have had something heal, and we're still attached to the wound, and we're still attached to the process of being wounded or the process of healing, yet we haven't yet acknowledged we have healed. Letting that healing process be acknowledged, letting the actual having healed from certain things be acknowledged, and be ready, and being ready to therefore let go of the wound, let go of the healing process, let go of needing a particular defense mechanism in place, because right now that threat has gone. The wound is no longer there. The healing has happened, it has occurred. Therefore, the defense mechanism isn't needing to be activated right now. So it's not that we're letting it go and we don't know how to do it anymore, and we don't know how to defend ourselves. It's more so we knew how to defend ourselves in that certain scenario, that certain situation. We went through the process, we activated this defense mechanism, this defense mechanism, and that defense mechanism. Now, fully healed from it, don't need it at this point. Should I need it, I know exactly what to do, how to use it. If not better, if a situation comes up that is resembling that, I am able to assess, is it the same situation or is it just a similar situation, and can I have my tools ready to enable them, to engage them if it is actually required. So not jumping into that speediness of just activating defense mechanisms. It's now mastering the knowing that you have the confidence to protect yourself and defend yourself in certain ways. You have the confidence, so much so that you can say goodbye to needing to hold on to the past wounds. You don't need to have the past wounds which are fully healed any longer. So all of that can go. The space can be created for you to get more insight, to get clearer insight, to have even deeper healing. So you can't even see the wound anymore. You can't feel the wound anymore. You don't act or react or respond. If a certain trigger in the past comes up now, you want it to, it's neutral. Neutral. You don't feel nothing. You're not feeling threatened by it or anything. It's just an observation of, I remember something like that, and simply that. Knowing you're safe from it, knowing you're able to defend yourself from it. So we're going to go into this space here, which is Page of Wands. Sorry, Page of Cups. Looking at Page of Wands and Page of Cups. New ways of doing things, new activation of self, new activation of presenting yourself, of being in the world, of your emotional well-being, new activation of your emotional responses, not blaming yourself, healing yourself in your relationship with yourself so that you can forgive yourself, you can be aware of where you are and how you are, and letting that work for you, letting that rise within you so your strength can just keep getting stronger and stronger. The swords, two of swords, in each feminine, each feminine and masculine energy. Now you've got the two of wands. You've got the clarity in your feminine and your masculine space within you. Now, as a result of that, you can take the action, Page of Wands, you can take the necessary action, stop certain behaviours because it's not needed anymore, and take on other behaviours which you can utilise and benefit from. It's a very proactive energy, it's a very proactive approach to some of the things that are going to be coming up. I did a reading yesterday which was called Scorpio New Moon. Why I named it that, I don't quite know, but it feels like we are prepping to go into that Scorpio New Moon. We are prepping to deal with it, but also maximise our potential, maximise the benefit of that new moon. So the more we know about what that energy is going to be bringing, the more we can kind of clear the decks as we get to there, so that the impact is useful, the impact is beneficial, the impact is full-hearted and sincere. So really, really receiving the full immersion of the new moon in Scorpio. It's not until November, but the thing is, if you prep for it, as we prep for it, and we engage with certain things, disengage with certain things, the next level of what we have to engage with and disengage with, engage with, will be shown and brought to our attention, which then just makes it a more efficient, more effective, and also we won't be tugging at certain heartstrings that we don't need to be tugging at that point, because as you know, the Scorpio energy is it's beautiful in its own right, just as any other sign, yet it always is quite relentless and deep. It has lots of darker energies than some of the signs, and that's not because it's a dark sign or a dark energy. It simply is that it is able to bring up certain things that the other signs can't in the particular way that it does. So having a new moon there, one of the darkest moons in a Scorpio sign, at a particular time after the Ring of Fire and the lunar eclipse in Taurus, with Uranus where it is, which is opposite in Taurus at the moment. The whole configuration right now is absolutely phenomenal. It's beautiful, it's victorious, and it's well worth making sure that you're ready for it, armed for it, and gliding into it, gliding into your new, fresh comfort zones. So with that, I'm going to say your November readings are up. If you want to check out your playlists, and see you tomorrow. For now, peace and love.